These are really cute planners. I use them all the time for budgeting, for you know, things that I have to schedule for my salon, things like that. This one right here, I created the little strawberries here. And when you flip through, you've got the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday days where you can actually go ahead and jot down a few things. Then if you kind of go back here, you've got today's appointments. This is a smaller one, so I do create larger ones too, but this one right here is a smaller one. They're easy and compact, so you can be able to go ahead and take them with you in your purse if you need to jot down, you know, notes or anything like that. I've got it where this one says goals. And then back here, there's just a little page here with strawberries on it for you to doodle on. You know, if you want to color or whatever, like stress-free coloring, that's a good thing. So I try to put some of those in there with it. It's really, really cute though. So I do have this one online. See, there's a couple of them right here. And then I go back again and then I put the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So this is basically just, it's not like a 2025, it's not a 2026, it's not a 2020, anything like that planner. It's just a journal planner that you could put your dates in with and do whatever you want to do with it. So each one of these pages here has something on it that you can actually use. So it's, I mean, it's really, really cool little one, but I'm going to show you how to make these. Okay, so what I did is I went ahead and then I used my Glowforge to actually go ahead and cut this out. This is a 5x7, okay? And then I went ahead and cut my design out. Now this design is something that I create and then I put them online and stuff. So this is all of my drawings and everything. But so what you're gonna do is, this is a statement size, which I think is a 5.5 by 8.5. So it has to be a little bit larger in order to go over the top of your front part of your books, okay? Or your planners, whatever you decide to do. So I did have the Glowforge Aurora cut these out because I wanted to make sure that it was exactly precise. We have such a really nice rainy day today, so this is like the best time to do this. Here is, like I said, this is what I cut out of my Glowforge. This is a 5x7, okay? This is statement size, all right? And this is the actual drawing that I did on my iPad to make my, to make my planners and stuff. So these are, these are fun to do, and they do make really good money. So I'm going to show you how to do this. So basically what you want to do is make sure that you cut down your sides. And so in order for me to actually do that, what I do is take this side right here and put my paper underneath it. And we just want to go ahead and slice these sides through here. Kind of go through here just to make one of these. All right. And then another thing I wanted to tell you is that when you are making any type of books, anything like that, that has to do with sticky paper, okay, printing, you want to make sure that that ink is dry. Because if you're going to sell it, you don't want it messing up with, with your design. Somebody put their, spill a coffee on it or whatever. You want these designs to be set in here. So let's kind of go back here again. Let me see if I can get this out here. This is not my favorite cutter. I do not like this cutter. I usually have one that's a little better than that, but I gave that one to my husband, so this is the one that I'm actually left with. So pretty much what I do is go ahead and cut these sides off here, just to make sure that, I have enough to wrap around. So this would be like maybe 1/4 inch here, and just kind of slice that through. Same thing here, each piece here. And then this is more, just want to leave, you always want to leave a border, because guess what? You're going to have to wrap this around anyways. So you've got to have that border. All right, so here's, it's a little off, but that's okay. So we'll just slice it again one more time through here. Kind of pull it down this way. There we go. So now that I've got my piece sliced, okay, what I'm going to do from there is up here to the side. What I do from there is grab my chipboard, okay, and then we're going to peel this off, and then make sure that each side is all arranged all the way around. So what you're going to have to do, because you're going to have to wrap it from side to side here. So you want to have just enough to wrap from side to side, okay? Because once it wraps over, then you're going to have to put another piece on top. So what you're going to do after you cut it is peel off your sticker sheet here that you've got. Make sure that you give your ink enough time to dry, because if you don't, then it's going to get really messy on you. So pretty much what I like to do is push this over here. Yeah, if your ink is not dry, then you'll have problems. Kind of pull it right down here in the middle, just to make sure. Yeah, that looks good there. Okay. All right. And then what I do is I go back and get a little squeegee, and like the one that you have with your Cricut, I usually do that one. You see if I can find it in my drawer here, because you got to have something to kind of pat it down with. You want to make sure that all the sides are taut and all that kind of stuff. So do that. So here's my little squeegee, because I know how to use that in a minute. I usually go back here and then I cut my sides. Just because when you fold this over, you want to make sure that it fits really cute. You don't want to see any extra pieces. You don't want it to look like it's not been folded right, basically. So these are close enough. I think maybe this one a little bit more. There we go. All right. And so normally I will fold it like this, from here, from side to side like this. And then we just turn it around. Do the same thing here. From here to here. And then I do the same thing here, because you want to make sure that your sides look good, okay? Because what you're going to do is put a backing onto this, all right? So you're probably going to need about 4 sheets. Just kind of move this over here. There's your front. So look, see how pretty your front is? Look at that already. Very pretty. So then once you're done, you're going to go back with your second sheet, and you're going to want to make sure that that's sized out enough, which looks like we're going to have to go ahead and resize it in order to get it on there and make sure that it looks right. So you're going to cut along these lines here, and you're going to get rid of all the extra that you don't need. So let's go back, and we're going to cut this. You don't want to cut too much, just enough, because it's going to be sitting there where the page is at, on top of the chipboard there. You want it to look pretty on the outside as well as, you know, the inside too. Go ahead and do this. Kind of take off just a tiny bit here too. All right, here's that. And then what you're going to have to do is just kind of keep measuring it up just to make sure that looks good so far. So now all we have to do is get rid of our ends. So I just pull this up through here. Okay. And then just kind of slip this through. Pull your little chipboard out. Slice that in there. Here's your inside. We still need like one more little slice here because there's like a little edge. Let's go ahead and do that. Slice that one little edge there. Let's see if it fits. Sometimes you have to adjust it, and it does take time. So I want to adjust it just a little bit. So I want to take just a little bit more off of the corner edges here. Go up here, not too much, just enough. There's this piece right here, and just a little bit more. And I think also a little bit more for the bottom too. So here's this one. And then we're actually going to get a little bit off there, off of that edge there. Let's see here if we got this. Okay, this should be perfect here. So now, let's kind of go here. Just try to get it as close as you can, okay? Because it's a little hard to do, but, and the hardest part is actually putting this on. So let's take this off here. Make sure that this looks good. Inside out. Your edges look good. So there's your first piece, okay? So this will be your front, whichever way you want to do it. You could put, you can use your cinch to cinch it on the sides here, or this side, or whichever. But this is your front, and then this is the actual opening piece to that, okay? Okay, so the next thing that you're actually going to want to do is go ahead and use the We Are Makers cinch stack cutter. That is actually going to give you some thickness to your book, and also make sure that the lines are straight. And instead of doing like this one over here, which is, if you was to slice one or two at the same time, this is not really a good product for multiple papers. So that's why we go ahead and we use our stack cutter, because you can put tons of paper in here and get this huge stack of paper. I mean, this is probably a 1/4 of an inch in paper. This is a 5x7, so that's what we're actually doing right now. Is we're going to put our 5x7 paper in here. We're going to measure it up and cut this down the middle. So once you have already went and cut your paper on your cinch, what you want to do is take your design, go back into Canva, which is what I use, and then I start looking for a white square to put in the middle of that, because that's where I'm going to start making it look like note paper. So I'm going to the sides here, and what I'm going to do is start looking for a white square, and then also a lined piece. And that lined piece would be like line paper that you're looking for. So I'm going to go through here and just try to see what I can find first with the white box. Because once I get the white box in there, I'm going to want to transfer that. That one looks really good. So we're going to transfer that over here. And then you are going to size it to where what size you want for it. Because you want to see some of the flowers on the border area. So you don't want to make it too big, and you don't want to make it too small. So you just kind of like, I guess you got to have a feel for it. How much white that you want to put there on your paper for your notes. After that, what you're going to want to do is figure out your lines. Do you want thick lines? Do you want smaller lines? Thin lines? Do they have to be black? Whatever that you would like to do for your notepad, to put in your journal. So I think I got this almost the way that I want it. Just trying to check out and figure out the lines now. for for your notepad. There's different ones. You kind of just have to try it out to see what is going to look good on your notepad first. So eventually, I think this is the one that I actually do. I'm just trying to fill it out first to see whether or not that it's going to work for me. So I think just trying out different ones will help you figure out what will be the right style for your notepad or your note or your planner. I finally got finished with figuring out which one I wanted. And then at the top, what I did was I put the word notes at the top. Now I'm actually going to download it from there. From here, I'm going to print this out, and I'm actually going to use a statement for this, which is a 5.5 by 8.5. I think I kind of bounced back and forth there trying to figure out which one it was because it had been a while since I used the statement one on there. And went ahead and printed that out. And this is how my notes came out. So this will actually go into the actual journal itself that we're making. So if you have any questions, just let me know. And we can kind of go from there. Just leave a comment down at the bottom. This will be your front of your journal, okay, once it's cinched. All right, and then you'll have two sides to that, and then you'll just be able to open it up and look at your notes. So you let me know if you have any questions. I'll be glad to answer them, and thank you for watching. Please subscribe.